28 million cars just received a stay of execution. Scientists in the Saudi desert quietly perfected a liquid that makes old gas engines carbon neutral overnight, even as the world rushed toward batteries. This is the story of the internal combustion engine's unexpected second life. The narrative was simple for years. Electric vehicles are the future, and everything else is a dinosaur waiting for the meteor. That certainty is crumbling in January 2026 because Saudi Aramco has been synthesizing a loophole in the laws of physics and economics, alongside digging for crude. These are e-fuels, distinct from corn biofuels, created as synthetic gasoline from thin air and water. It sounds like alchemy, but the chemistry is solid, and the implications are disrupting EV mandates across Europe and Asia. Reports confirmed this month that the massive NEOM green hydrogen facility is over 90% complete, with full operations targeted for December. This industrial counterstrike against total transport electrification moves beyond lab experiments. Tesla and BYD fought for market share, as Aramco spent the last 3 years building a lifeline for the 1.4 billion gas-powered cars already on the road. They just found a major ally in Stellantis to prove this mysterious fluid works in engines built over a decade ago. The biggest argument against synthetic fuels has always been compatibility, because critics claimed you would need special engines or expensive modifications to run them. That argument ended this year when Stellantis released results after months of rigorous testing with Aramco's new formulas. They took 24 different engine families, powering everything from a Fiat 500 to a heavy-duty Ram truck, and ran them on this synthetic drop-in fuel. The engine showed flawless operation with no knocks, corroded seals, or software updates needed. This validation covers 28 million vehicles currently on European streets. Drivers do not need to buy a $40,000 electric car to lower their carbon footprint. You could just pull your 2018 Jeep into a station to pump this clear liquid and drive away with up to 70% fewer life cycle emissions. It invalidates the idea that we have to scrap the entire global fleet to save the climate. It changes nothing about how the average person drives, but significantly alters what comes out of the tailpipe. If you find this shift in energy tech interesting, please hit subscribe and the notification bell, as we cover breaking stories like this every week. We can now examine how they actually make this fuel. The process starts with 2 ingredients, hydrogen and carbon dioxide. Aramco uses the massive solar and wind resources at NEOM to run electrolyzers that split water to get green hydrogen as the clean energy carrier. They also use direct air capture technology to pull CO2 directly out of the atmosphere. Inside their demonstration plants, they combine that captured carbon with the green hydrogen to create synthetic methanol. A process called methanol to gasoline then refines it into a liquid that is chemically identical to the petrol you buy today. The main difference is that the carbon coming out of your exhaust is the same carbon they took out of the air to make the fuel. It creates a closed loop, where the net increase in atmospheric CO2 is effectively zero. This extends beyond public relations stunts, as seen in Formula One this season. The 2026 regulations have kicked in to mandate 100% sustainable fuels. Aramco serves as the exclusive supplier for the grid, rather than just a sponsor on the Aston Martin car. Every overtake and pit stop this year is powered by this technology. They have been running it in Formula 2 and Formula 3 since last year as a stress test. Racing engines run at 15,000 RPM and endure forces that would tear a normal motor apart. If this fuel can handle a Grand Prix distance at 300 kilometers per hour without destroying a sensitive hybrid power unit, it can certainly handle a morning commute. The track serves as their laboratory, where the data they gather refines the blend for mass consumer use. This proves high performance no longer requires fossil extraction. Scaling this up requires capturing carbon on a massive level, which involves a partnership with Siemens Energy. They switched on a direct air capture pilot unit in Daharen in March 2025. It was a small unit, capturing only about a dozen tons a year, but it provided the proof of concept needed to verify the materials in the harsh Saudi heat. They are now applying those results to the industrial phase in 2026. The challenge with direct air capture is the high energy consumption required to filter air. Saudi Arabia possesses vast empty land with some of the most intense solar irradiation on Earth, so they can apply cheap solar power to the problem. Pairing Siemens capture tech with desert sunshine drives the cost per ton down to levels that might make this fuel commercially viable sooner than predicted. The current price tag presents a challenge because a liter of e-fuel costs much more to produce than a liter of pump gas. Critics point to this as evidence that it will never work for the average person and argue it will remain a luxury fuel for Porsche 911 owners. This assessment is currently accurate. However, costs for solar panels and lithium-ion batteries collapsed as production scaled. Aramco is betting that economies of scale will take effect once the Neom plant and others come online. They are trying to beat the price of oil in 2030, when carbon taxes in Europe might make traditional fossil fuels prohibitively expensive. A $4 liter of carbon-neutral synthetic gas looks cheaper than a highly taxed liter of conventional gasoline, if governments start taxing carbon at the source. Aramco CEO Amin Nasser has publicly supported this strategy, even when it lacked popularity. He pushed back against the idea of a single solution at the World Economic Forum and calls the approach a poly-transition. His argument is that billions of people in the global south cannot afford a rapid switch to electric grids and expensive EVs. He emphasizes that oil demand remains high at over 106 million barrels a day this January. Aramco positions itself to keep its pipelines and shipping routes relevant for decades by offering a cleaner, liquid alternative. This acts as a hedge against obsolescence. They are not fighting the green transition, but rather adapting it to their model. They aim to sell the green molecule just as they sold the original one, in a strategic move for corporate survival. Attention focuses on December, when the Neom Green Hydrogen facility officially enters full commercial operation. 4 gigawatts of wind and solar power will generate 600 tons of green hydrogen every single day. The primary output is green ammonia for export, but a portion of this energy stream is set aside for synthetic fuel production. This project has moved beyond the planning stage as the wind turbines are spinning and the solar fields are active. The facility moving to full operation marks the moment synthetic fuel moves from experimental to industrial. It signals to automakers that they do not have to stop developing engines. We are already seeing the results as companies like Toyota and Geely keep their combustion research and development departments active. The future of driving might not be as silent as previously predicted. The internal combustion engine survives if e-fuels succeed by evolving from a climate villain into a carbon-neutral machine. It offers a path where we keep our classic cars and long-range trucks while removing the environmental damage. This also creates a fierce battle ahead because governments have bet trillions on electrification. The existence of a viable liquid alternative questions whether the 2035 bans on gas cars remain logical. We are likely heading toward a fractured market with electric cars for cities and synthetic-fueled engines for long-haul transport. The potential monopoly of the battery has ended before it fully began. We are entering an era of energy diversity, where the competition exists between the physics of electrons and the chemistry of hydrocarbons. The internal combustion engine was predicted to disappear by 2030, but that timeline now appears incorrect. We will watch to see whether this technology saves the planet or simply saves the oil industry. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe if you want more detailed reports like this.